The break is over and UFC is back. And they're coming back with a nice little fight night and then a solid pay-per-view. This weekend of UFC Vegas 97, we have 13 fights and a very interesting main event. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 97 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before I do that, let me remind you that for pay-per-views, we film a vlog. In that vlog, we do all sorts of cool things, and one of the segments we have is opening mail. UFC 306 is in 2 weeks. If you want to send something for us to open, for us to read, for us to eat, for us to interact with, you can do so now. Every single vlog, we do the mail day. We get all sorts of really cool things. Somebody sent us a homemade hand-stitched Cheeto Vera jersey. We get all sorts of really cool letters about people's betting journeys, what they're doing, their predictions for the upcoming fights. We also get products from small businesses. People send me, because I'm fat, their favorite foods from their hometowns. Anything you want to send that you want us to open, interact with, read, do all the things, you can do so now. And as long as it's here before the Saturday of UFC 306, which is in 2 weeks, we'll go ahead and we'll open it. And we'll interact with it on that vlog. You can send anything you want to. Well, not anything you want. Not anything you want. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. And this vlog is going to be interesting because my buddy makes the best brisket anybody has ever had. I've been to Hutchins. I've been to all the places. I live in Texas. I know brisket. I'm fat and I live in Texas. I know brisket. My buddy literally makes the best brisket on the planet. We're going to take care of that whole experience. We're going to follow him start to finish, see what the hell he does, how it ends up so good. So make sure you do check out that vlog. But if you want to send something, here is the address. And now that that's out of the way, let me brag again about the safety parlay. If you don't know, if you're new here and you're like, who is this Ben Affleck doppelganger breaking down fights? Well, hey, we break down fights. We have some fun. We have all sorts of wild content that we do every single week for every single event. But we also have a service where we give you our bets. We give you tools. We give you picks. We give you insight. We give you a whole suite of information, anything you could ever need heading into a fight week. One of those bets is the safety parlay. It's a single bet I give you every single week, and it hits in a remarkable accuracy. 72% event percentage. 72% of the events that we put a safety parlay on, it hits. And I don't know if you've bet on fist fights before, but that is an insane number. It is 13-4 in the last 12 pay-per-views. We tend to crush pay-per-views. It is 9-3 in the last 12 events, and it is doing quite well. You can unlock the safety parlay and everything else that we do. It's only $10 a freaking month. You're going to get this card, UFC 306. Then you're going to get the Benoit Saint Denis, that interesting fight night. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. At the top, it is only $10 for an entire month. And Benoit Saint Denis is fighting Hinano Moicano. That'll be a really good event. Part of that premium package is the tools. One of the tools is the data analyzer. This is literally a tool that we coded from scratch. It exists on the website. It has all the data from every fighter of every event. It is already built out past UFC 308, every single event along the way with every single fighter. You see this chart in the graphic. If you click on one of the dots, one of the plot points, those are the individual fights of that fighter's career. You'll see all the stats, the referees, the scorecards, all of that. And then if you click the button, it'll bring up the actual video. You can watch the fight itself. So it is a full tape index. You're also going to get the Prop Hunter. This is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets heading into a fight week. You're going to get the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the DraftKings Optimizer. This will build DraftKings lineups for you. Couple clicks of the button, it'll spit out 150 lineups. It'll spit out one lineup, and it'll be preloaded with the best DraftKings ownership projections on the planet. This is an objective fact. What you're looking at here are the ownership projections from the last event, UFC Vegas 96, and you can see we dominated the competition. Every single thing I just mentioned and so much more, only $10 for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. And the little cherry, the little finale on the premium packages, not only are you going to get myself and Jacob giving you picks and bets and breakdowns, we have Artem doing that as well. Artem does it for Dana White Contender Series, of course, regular UFC. He also does it for LFA, PFL, Bellator, the regional shows. And then this other graphic here with the robot and the scientist, that is the artificial intelligence. We have a full artificial intelligence that is picking fights based solely off of historical data and is doing so at a remarkable accuracy. Everything I just mentioned in this incredibly long sales pitch, only $10 an entire month, one single package. WeWantPicks.com. Click to become a member at the top. Let's go ahead and break down the actual fights. There's 13 fights on this card, and that is a ton for a fight night. To put it in perspective, UFC 306, the Sphere card, the most expensive event that the UFC has ever put on, 10 fights. This has 3 more fights than that does. And obviously it's quality over quantity, but you get the drift. 13 fights on a fight night makes for a nice long night of fights, a nice welcome back. Strap in. We're going to have 6 hours of consistent fights going for you. And we're going to go ahead and break it down. If you saw my early breakdown video, listen, I'm grinding. You're getting a new video every Sunday, no matter what. And what I'll do in the week off is I'll break down the next card. You'll get an early predictions. Oftentimes, I don't have odds yet. There's usually some swaps, some changes in opponents and fighters. Some things move. And then we do a final breakdown, which is what you're watching right now. We don't have any new matchups. The card is exactly the same. What we do have, though, are some odds. There was about 3 or 4 fights I broke down last week that did not have odds. And as you know, I always break down fights before looking at the odds. Then I'll look at the odds and be like, oh, shit. Turns out I love the underdog here. And there is one of those. There is a fight on this card where I was all over the dog. We did not have any odds yet. The minute the odds dropped, it was even money. Minus 110, minus 110. I said, bang, place the bet. That dude is now plus 165. I don't know what I'm missing. We'll get to that in a second, but we're going to open up the UFC Vegas 97 fight card with a rebooked fight. We have Zygimantas Ramaska taking on Nathan Fletcher. This fight was supposed to happen at UFC Vegas 96. It was canceled. They blamed it on Nathan Fletcher. They said it's his fault. A medical issue. I put it out to the community. I said, what happened? I got about 200, literally, no exaggeration, 200 DMs from Twitter and Instagram, comments on YouTube as well, saying that, well, there's staff. It's not official, but you can see in the weigh-in picture there was clearly staff on the arm. Some people said they both had staff. Some said they only one of them had staff. But either way, the consensus seems to be staph infection. But we're going to go ahead and break down this fight. Anyway, we have Zygimantas Ramaska. He's in an interesting situation because both of these gentlemen were in the Ultimate Fighter house. Both of them, I think, were supposed to fight on the finale, and that didn't quite work out that way. Zygimantas didn't lose on the show. In fact, he won. And then he was supposed to fight in the next fight to get him to the finale, and they were like, nah, dude, you're too beat up from your last fight to continue, so you cannot fight to get your way to the finale. But they went ahead and they made a slot for him, and he's getting his fight anyway. Style-wise, he's a very dangerous striker. He's fast, he's active, he's constantly moving forward, constantly throwing stuff. He stands very tall. He never shies away from a firefight, and he's got that constant pressure. You can take him down, though, because he is literally just moving forward. You can just lower your level and take a shot. Luckily, for him, at least, even on the ground, he's constantly working. He's always trying to hurt his opponents. He's taking on Nathan Fletcher. He was in a similar situation. He was in the Ultimate Fighter house. The reality is he broke his leg, continued to move forward, continued to fight. I didn't get the win, but we did get to see that toughness. The guy marched forward, broken, and didn't stop. He's incredibly tough. He's very active. He comes out of that same fight camp as Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann. He is a striker in theory, right? He's very forward pressure. He has no quit in him whatsoever. He's pretty well-rounded guy, solid grappling, solid striking. He's always looking for a finish. He has a decent chin. I called him a striker, but the reality is he is very well-rounded. He will do all the things, but he'll throw forward. He's not going to force takedowns, but if they're there, he will grab them. Nathan's a decent favorite here. And it does make sense because even though Zygimantas is insanely busy, he has a ton of volume and he never stops throwing. He never stops looking to hurt his opponents. He is chinny, he is hittable, and he can be taken down because he bombs away. He just sort of plants and goes. If Nathan wants to lower his level and shoot, he can. If Nathan wants to try to keep it a little more technical, he can land the cleaner strikes. Nathan is going to be the pick. This should be a really fun fight. Both of these guys have earned this opportunity. We've seen toughness from both of them. They have had exciting fights. I'm going to pick Nathan here. I do think he wins, but with the medical situation there and everybody saying that they have staff, and there's too many random factors here for me to actually lay out some money. There's 13 fights on this card. We don't need to force anything. Jacob and I are crushing it week in and week out. We're doing well. We're winning bets. I'm not going to go ahead and blow that streak up after a nice Nice hot streak. I'm not going to send it into the toilet because I decided to bet on 2 guys from The Ultimate Fighter that have had medical issues and have been rebooked. Not happening. Not on this fight. And then we have, surprisingly early on the card, the second fight of the night, Andre Petroski taking on Dylan Budka. And I say surprisingly early because at one point, Andre felt like a guy the UFC was interested in, right? The UFC was like, listen, he can wrestle, he can grapple, he's got power in his hands, he's pretty active. And then he had Michel Pereira sparked him, had some cardio issues here and there, barely beats Gerald Meerschaert. Then he knocks himself out by shooting a takedown, and all of a sudden, he's the second fight of the night. It feels like the UFC is like, yeah, I'm on the fence about you. You got to earn your way back up this card. But the reality is Andre Petroski is good. He's a good wrestler. He's got good takedowns. His stand-up, the technique isn't amazing, but he has power, and he bombs away. When he shoots takedowns, they're fast and they're clean. He's got solid BJJ as well. He'll use it to control positions. He'll snatch things up in scrambles. And he's coming off that win over Josh Freeman where he had 3 takedowns and an insane amount of control time because he was coming off 2 finished losses in a row. And I think he was like, I'm not messing around with my chin. We're not going to experiment with my chin. I am going all in the wrestling. And that's what he did. And he looked fantastic. And if he does that here, he could probably win this fight, but it could be a little tricky because Dylan Budka is also a grappler. He has his own big takedowns. He'll lower his level. He'll shoot very nice takedowns right up the middle, right? He's not clinching. He's not tripping. He's actually shooting. When he does get fights to the ground, he does a good job working 2 positions, taking his time, settling in. He's not rushed. He'll look for a submission instead of a TKO. He's not a very good striker, but he has no issues just charging forward and letting his hands fly. He is coming off that TKO loss to Cesar Almeida, where he had a very, very nice, a beautiful, if you will, blast double and some relentless takedown attempts. The odds of this fight are also a little tricky because Andre Petroski is a very, very big favorite. And I get it. I get it. If he sticks to his wrestling, he should be the better wrestler. Striking-wise, neither one is very good, but Andre's got all the power, all the speed. But again, this guy knocked himself out shooting a takedown. He only landed 12 significant strikes in his last fight. Everybody saw that last fight and they're like, Andre's back. The dude landed 12 significant strikes. It was a grappling match and he was the better grappler. And great. What I do appreciate about that win is he did what he was supposed to do. I don't trust my chin. I don't trust my chin. I'm just going to wrestle. And he did wrestle and he got the win. And more of that here will also get him the win. But if he waits and Dylan starts shooting first, it could be tricky because I don't know what Andre's going to look like on his back. We haven't seen a ton of that in the UFC. And the reality is, this is a fist fight and not a wrestling match. This would not be the first time that the better wrestler was taken down. Andre Petroski should win. He is the pick. I'm just going to keep staring at the line movement tracker, hoping that this tightens because I'm not against betting on Andre Petroski here. He absolutely should win this fight. But I don't love the almost 3-1 odds here. Let's get that closer to 1.5 to 1, maybe 2 to 1. Makes a little bit of sense. 3 to 1, conservative edge. I'm not always going 3 to 1 on a guy that has a questionable chin. But Andre Petroski is the pick, and it should be a pretty straightforward path to victory for him. Then we have Jaqueline Amorim taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Listen, straight up, Vanessa Demopoulos is the underdog here, and it feels like everybody's on Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm seeing a ton of people picking Vanessa Demopoulos, saying she's going to win this fight, mentioning that she has had plenty of gift decisions, and here comes another one. But this is a very different fight because Jaqueline Amorim might literally be the most dangerous fighter Vanessa has ever fought. Jaqueline Amorim not only is a multiple-time no-gi world champion, that's the non-bathrobe grappling, she is also a gi world champion. She also has one-punch knockout power in her hands. All of a sudden, Jaqueline Amorim is literally one of the most dangerous women in this strawweight division. She comes forward like a buzzsaw. She'll cut through whatever's in front of her. Striking isn't good. Like it's raw, it's a bit wide, but it is powerful, and she will send it. You don't see a lot of people at this weight class that have the power in her hands like she does. She is coming off that very quick win over Corey McKenna, where she basically submitted Corey twice before the referee was like, I've seen enough. Stop torturing that poor woman. She's taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos, a solid striker. She'll like to fight inside the pocket. Doesn't have any real power, not dangerous at all, but she's got plenty of volume, good footwork, and tons of cardio. If she does get a fight to the ground, she's got some solid grappling. She can make something happen offensively or defensively. Takedown defense is an unfortunate 30%, and it will definitely be tested in this fight. She's coming off that close decision win over Emily Ducote. And I mentioned this the last time I broke down this fight. At a certain point, karma is headed Vanessa's way because she has gotten a few decisions that were very questionable. Where I will give Vanessa all the credit in the world. First of all, she's awesome. She's really cool. If you didn't watch the UFC 303 vlog, we went out for International Fight Week. We got to meet Vanessa. Couldn't be cooler. And fighting-wise, I'll give her credit because she's got nothing but cardio. She is just full. She will move forward and she will fight her ass off. Whether you agree or disagree with some of the decisions she's got, that's not her. She didn't do that. The judges did that. And I think the judges just like the forward pressure. She always is doing something. She's always trying to win the fight. I don't know if it's going to be enough to win this fight, though. Jaqueline Amorim on the ground is next level dangerous. Insanely dangerous. Jaqueline Amorim does have that big one-punch knockout power in her hands. So Jaqueline Amorim can knock you out. Jaqueline Amorim can submit you. And if Vanessa makes a mistake, shoots a takedown she shouldn't shoot, does what Corey Poppins did, and they end up on the ground, she's going to end up submitted. So I think Jaqueline Amorim wins this fight. I am going to pick her to win. She is the favorite, and I am somehow going against the grain because everybody else loves Vanessa in this spot. Vanessa's fun. She'll make this a fun fight. But I do think Jaqueline can get it done. And if you think Jaqueline gets it done, and if you think this fight does not go the distance, maybe you think Jaqueline gasses to all hell, which she might, and then somehow gets finished. Or you think Jaqueline can pull off a submission. Well, the under 2.5 is plus 180 or something to that effect. So there's some solid value there. And honestly, I'm going to see what the odds are. Jaqueline Amorim inside the distance, decision, no action seems like a great bet. She's the far more dangerous fighter. I'm going to poke around. We'll see what we got there. I do think Jaqueline wins, and I think she can absolutely win by submission here just because I don't know if Vanessa's going to be able to help herself. She might get a takedown, might get this fight to the ground because Jaqueline's going to bomb away, and Vanessa's going to be like, let me just get this over with, and then she'll be in some trouble immediately. This is a fight that I'm going to look to have some action on. Then we have Gabriel Santos taking on Yizha. And this is an interesting matchup, so much so that I broke this down and some absolute doofus is like, terrible take on the Yizha fight. All I wrote was grow up, and then it's so easy to get people spun up. This guy comes to my video, comments on my video, on my channel, terrible take on the Yizha fight. All I wrote was grow up. That's it. Dude lost his mind. Just lost his mind. Oh, now you need to grow up. One comment. Second comment. You're the one, blah, 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 blah. Third comment. It's like, Jesus, dude. Oh, my God. You came to me. All I said was grow up and you lost your mind. That's the internet. Other things you can find on the internet are videos of Yizha fighting. And if you go watch those videos, you'll see that he's a powerful grappler. He'll use some kicks to manage range. He'll work in close. He'll try to get his hands on you, and he will try to drag you to the ground at all costs. He's very strong. He does a good job picking up his opponents. If he does get his hands around his waist or around your body, he will pick you up and try to bring you to the ground from there. He does a really good job. It's very hard to defend a takedown when your feet aren't planted. Once you do get to the ground, because he, in all likelihood, will get you to the ground. He's averaging almost 5 takedowns per fight. He's constantly looking for a submission. He does struggle maintaining positions. People can stand up on him, which is, again, why he has almost 5 takedowns per fight. But that's because he's looking for submissions. He's chasing. He's reaching over. He's doing stuff, and people just stand up. And he's going to have an interesting fight here because he's taking on Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos is an aggressive guy. He's going to charge forward. He will bomb 1-2s, Vanderlei Silva style. And then when you have backed all the way up, because you're avoiding those punches and you're against the cage, that's when he's going to work his takedowns. He's going to get you to the ground. He's going to pound on you. He's going to look for submissions. He's not a technical striker, but he does throw fast. He throws with power. He can be hittable on his side as well, but his striking is really just there to overwhelm you so he can get his grappling going. He does have some Muay Thai experience, but it's not at a super high level. He's fast. He's strong. Slick submissions, but he still hasn't found success in the UFC. This is a grappler versus grappler matchup, and I do think Yizha can get it done. He's proven that he doesn't even need to get a takedown to find a submission. So if Gabriel is bombing forward 1-2, 1-2, and they get up against the cage, and Yizha throws in an overhook, all of a sudden he can create a scramble. All of a sudden they're in a grappling exchange, even though there wasn't an official takedown. And I do think Yizha can find some success. Even if Gabriel gets the first takedown, I do think Yizha's a good enough grappler to stay safe, try to make something happen. He's a good underdog here. He's plus 214 right now. Those are good odds. I've picked him to win, and this is what I do. I told you, I break down the fights, I make my pick, then I look at the odds. Usually the odds are already available. For this fight, I made the pick and the odds were not available. They became available 4, 5, 6 days later, and the dude's a 2-1 dog. I haven't pulled the trigger just yet, but I may do that. The reason I haven't pulled the trigger yet is anytime you get an underdog that's that big, right? 2-1, 3-1, the prop bets have a little more safety and they'll still have some value. So Yizha plus 3.5, which means all he has to do is win one single round on the judge's scorecard. That could be plus money. Yizha win inside the distance, decision, no action means if he finishes Gabriel Santos, I'll get paid. If he loses a decision, I'll get a full refund. That could be plus money. So I do think Yizha wins. He's a good size underdog. There may be some value in the prop bets. So let's wait till Tuesday. Maybe Monday they'll drop. And when they do, if I like one of those, I will hit it. If you guys are premium members, make sure you got the alerts turned on so you can get those alerts as soon as we place those bets. If you're not premium, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Every single week, Twitter is a graveyard of people that made all the wrong bets and lost all their money. And then Jakey Boy and I and the We Want Picks premium members are just cashing. It's $10 a month. Don't be cheap. WeWantPicks.com. Then we have Felipe dos Santos taking on Andre Lima. I teased in the beginning of this video. I did one of those really cool clickbait teasers where I say something and it's ominous and it's open-ended. And then you have to watch the whole video because you don't know where it's going to be. And then YouTube says, wow, look how long people are watching your videos. This must be good stuff. That's how you do it. And I opened it by saying, there's a fighter on this card, even money, minus 110, minus 110. Then I bet him, and now he's plus 165. That was Felipe dos Santos. Spoiler alert, I think Felipe wins, and I don't know why he's such a huge underdog. I don't get it. But let's talk about it. He's taking on Andre Lima. Andre Lima is a solid striker. He will invest in the body early. He's got some solid technique. He uses that technique well. He throws combinations. He's not lazy with anything he does. He'll mix up his strikes really well also. He's essentially a pure striker with some solid defense. He's not typically looking to get his own takedowns, but he's got good enough takedown defense to keep fights standing. He's got solid submission defense to make sure he doesn't get subbed. And if he does end up on the ground, he can try to work his way back up. He does have 2 offensive takedowns in the UFC, and you'll see 0.79 takedowns on average. It's a bit deceiving. That was in one single fight. The reality is, Andre Lima's had an interesting road. He was bit, so he got a win there. And he was losing that fight. He was bit. They gave him that win. He just beat a Mitch Rapiso. And I think he's a little overhyped. He's taking on Felipe dos Santos. He's a shoot-a-box fighter. He looks the part. He's got the hair. He fights the exact same way. The guy's aggressive. He's dangerous. He's good everywhere. And like most shoot-a-box fighters, he's also very hittable. You can see that. He's hit with 5 significant strikes per minute, which is a very high number. The reality is he's just going to march forward and throw everything he can, and he'll eat whatever comes his way. He is capable on the ground. He does have offensive takedowns. They're not great. He does slow down later in fights. I mean, he's literally a shoot-a-box fighter through and through. Takedowns aren't great. He can submit you. He can knock you out. He's very aggressive, and then he gasses. He's coming off that close decision win over Victor Altamirano, where he was taken down 9 times. Felipe dos Santos is a plus 165 underdog. It opened at even money, and when it did, I threw a half a unit on it. I was convinced Felipe was going to skyrocket to a favorite. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to look dumb. No, nobody picks it 100%, me included. So maybe I'm going to look really stupid, and Felipe is going to get sparked. But the reality is, I don't think Andre Lima is that good. Dude, he beat Mitch Rapiso. Are we serious? Who gives a shit? He was losing the fight to Severino, and then he got bit. The bite is how he won that fight. He was losing that fight. Severino was pushing him around, bullying him. Andre Lima did not like backing up. And if Igor Severino was backing him up, I can't imagine what Felipe dos Santos is going to do to him. I like Felipe here. Everybody who watched my breakdown last week knows that I like Felipe. All the premium members saw that I bet on him the second the odds dropped. And so the question I've been answering nonstop the last couple of days are, hey, he's a huge underdog now. Are you going to double down on your bet? The answer is no. I wish I got it at these odds, but what I'm not going to do is have a full unit on the guy. I think he wins, and I have a half a unit on him. If you guys don't know how units work, and this is another, there's chapters in this video. If you don't want to hear this, skip forward. If you don't know how units work, when we say unit, I bet a unit. I have 2 units. I have a half unit. We talk in units because it just represents basically the confidence in our bets. For me, a unit is $100. For some people, a unit is $1,000. For other people, it's $10. So that's why you talk in units, because if a unit for you, and there's a million schools of thought. Some people are like, it should be 5% of your bankroll. Let's just talk like normal people, okay? We're going to talk like normal people. And if I'm talking like a normal person, I'm going to say a unit is the amount of money you like to bet on a fight. So let's say fight night comes around. You say, okay, I'll bet $100 tonight. 100 total. So let's just say then a unit is $20. I'll do $20 on this guy. I'll do $20 on that guy. Well, this guy I'm not as confident in, so I'm only going to do $10. So in your case, a unit would be $20 because that's the amount of money you're typically betting. So if you do a full unit, it's like I'm pretty confident. Full unit, $20. I'm not that confident. I'm going to do a half. I did a half of a unit on Felipe because I'm not that confident. I do think he wins the fight. So I'm going to put a half. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to bet on him. But I'm not going to double that. I'm not going to put a full unit. That implies I have the exact same confidence in him winning as I do in the safety parlay. I bet 1 unit on the safety parlay. So when you see people out here and they're giving you their bets, and it's like 5 units on this guy, 6 units on that guy, a couple of things are going on. Either A, they're not actually placing bets, right? They're full of shit. B, their units are too small. If you're only betting $10, but you have more to bet, let's say you make a good living, you have good money, and you can waste money. So $10 to you is nothing, but you've made a unit $10. Yeah, you're going to be a little quicker to throw 3-4 units on somebody. And if every single one of your bets is more than a unit, your units are too low. If you follow somebody and every single one of that they don't have a single bet that's 1 unit, their units are too low or it's monopoly money. And the only reason I'm going on this little rant is that's one of the most popular questions I get. What is a unit? I have a full video breaking down like literally, it's 5%, but let's just talk like humans. And then the other reason I'm saying that is because to me, a half a unit on a guy, it's like, I think he wins and I'm going to put that money on him. A full unit is like, I'm almost positive this person wins. Or I'm almost positive this parlay hits. That's why I do a full unit. So half a unit on Felipe. I am not going to double down on that because again, yes, the odds got better, but that would basically be me saying I'm as confident in Felipe dos Santos winning. I have his exact same much money on him as I do on the safety parlay, and that's absurd. Not happening. Guys, move on. Angelo, move on. Jesus. Are you still talking about this? Comment. Angry. Still with this? There's chapters. Use the chapters. Then we have the biggest favorite on this card. Isaac Dulgarian is a minus 3,000 favorite. Minus 3,000. I think he quite literally is the biggest favorite in the history of the UFC. Ronda Rousey was minus like 1,500 when she lost to Holly Holm. Amanda Nunes has been around that size as well. We saw a minus 1,200 favorite last week. Bo Nickel. I think Bo Nickel got up to like minus 1,800, maybe minus 2,000. Isaac Dulgarian, a dude with only 7 professional fights, is a minus 3,000 favorite. And if you don't know what that means you would have to bet $3,000. You give them $3,000 and they give you back 100 in profit. They'll give you your 3,000 back, obviously. And then here's 100. You risk 3,000 to win 100. Crazy. And it's not crazy because Isaac sucks and he's gonna win. And honestly, those odds are probably correct. It's just crazy that in the history of this sport, he's the biggest favorite we have ever seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not talking about like random promotions where they have Andre the Giant fight somebody's younger sister. Like genuinely, in the UFC have we ever seen odds like that. Anyway, we got Isaac Dulgarian. Dude's a nasty wrestler. Takes 4 seconds of Googling to see hundreds of his wrestling matches. He's a nasty wrestler. He didn't have like wild success, and he's not a D1 All-American, none of that. But he was a nasty wrestler from the Midwest that is aggressive. He shoots instantly. He's always making something happen. Once it hits the ground, he's grappling as well, trying to snatch up submissions. If he's on top, he's raining down punches. You move the wrong way, bang, submission. He is coming off of the only loss of his career, the first loss of his career, where he beat the absolute shit out of Christian Rodriguez the first round. Beat his ass the whole first round. 3/4 of the second round, beat the shit out of him then too. Then he got tired. He slowed down. Okay, he won 3/4 of that round. He should be fine, right? And then the third round, he was completely gassed, did nothing. Did enough to not get finished. Did enough to survive, make it to the judges. Everybody thought, he's up 2 rounds, 2-1. We're good. And he lost at this. He got absolutely screwed. And that's why the odds are this way, because they know he got screwed. He's taking on Brendon Marotte. This guy's a solid striker. He likes to bounce in and out. Then he'll commit to throwing some real power. He's a Northeast guy. Like Ben Affleck over here. He's a Northeast guy. He's got Northeast toughness. He's well-rounded. No issues initiating a takedown. He can grapple as well. I consider him more of a striker than anything, and that's where fights start. He doesn't desperately shoot, but he does get hit. He does have a negative striking differential. He's more hittable than you're going to want him to be, but that doesn't stop him from pressuring forward. Listen, Isaac wins this fight. The wrestling is just too much. It's too aggressive. It's too quick. It's too fast. Even if you're a good wrestler with decent takedown defense, an early Isaac Dulgarian is so freaking dangerous. There's only so many directions you can switch your hips. Isaac's bang, 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 bang. Isaac wins this fight. There's no value whatsoever. None. There wasn't value a week ago when he was minus 2,300. There's no value now at minus 3,000. Do not share your tickets and brag when you have Isaac Dulgarian in a 30-leg parlay. It's ridiculous. It adds... Jacob bet $100 on Isaac just to be funny. Literally to be funny. Put $100 on him. Last week, the payout's $3.24. What are you doing? You're going to... It's still a fist fight, and anything could happen. Do not throw him in a parlay. Not to make another $2. That's crazy. Then we have a win-or-go-home fight. These guys both are most certainly fighting for their careers, even though Ovince St. Preux did just win a fight. We got Ovince St. Preux taking on Ryan Spann. A couple of big boys. Ovince St. Preux, talented guy. He's made some career, I'll say, missteps, right? He's bumped up to heavyweight. Didn't look that great. Come back down to light heavyweight on short notice. Like, there's a lot of movement. He stepped up on short notice a few too many times, bounced between weight classes, but he is good. He's a good striker. He's got good power, good technique. He averages more than 1 takedown per fight. He's got plenty of fights in the UFC, but he really only wrestles when the opportunity just sort of falls into his lap. He is frustrating to watch, though, because you know how good he is. You know he has power. You know he's fast. You know he's talented, but he's hesitant. He waits. He doesn't let his hands completely go. It's one punch at a time, and he is low volume. He is coming off that massive upset win. He was like a plus 400 underdog over Kennedy and Chukwu, where neither guy looked spectacular, but Ovince was moving forward, making stuff happen. Somehow was the busier striker in a matchup. He's taking on Ryan Spann. Massive 6'5" Ryan Spann. Guy's an absolute powerhouse, an incredible reach. He's very dangerous with 18 stoppages in his 21 wins. He's not all power, though. He'll snatch up submissions. He can shoot some takedowns. He's incredibly dangerous. He does have cardio as well. You would see it's 6'5". This guy's got power like that. He's going to gas. He doesn't gas. He's got plenty of cardio. He will submit you. He can knock you out. If you're going to have a knock anywhere, he's a little slow. Like physically, there's a ton of power, but it's not like it's like boom. So if you're young and you're fast, you can move out of the way. Ovince St. Preux is not young. He's 41. 41 in the fight game is like 68. This is win or go home. 2 aging vets. And Ryan Spann isn't even that old, but he's been around the block, riding an unfortunate 3-fight skid. And even though Ovince has the most recent win, I don't think he's going to win in this fight. Ryan is dangerous. I think he gets it done. Ryan is not going to be as gun-shy as Kennedy and Chukwu was, like Ovince's last fight. Far more physically imposing, despite like both of them similar size. Ryan Spann's going to win this fight. A 2.5 round line would be spectacular because I would love the under, but it's a 1.5 round line. And the under on that is juiced. And I don't know how I feel about that because they could be a staring contest for a minute or two. Although we would need it to be a staring contest for 7.5 minutes, but you get the point. Ryan Spann is the pick. And before I move on to the main card, let me move $50 into your wallet. The only thing you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we will send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. You're going to go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. You'll use the link. You'll make an account. You'll make a deposit. Then they will pay me. And then I will slice off some of that money and I will give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit, and we'll send you that $50. You can then use some of that money to become a premium member. Premium membership is only $10 for an entire month, so you would have $40 left over. That's Rain Man math. I also have Rain Man bets. I am picking safety parlays at insane accuracy, 72% accuracy to be exact, and 72% of the events, the safety parlay that is put on the board hits. That is remarkable accuracy. That is the beacon of stability in a very unstable betting world. It is 13-4 in the last 12 pay-per-views, and that's because on pay-per-views, not only are the safety parlays better than ever, but we also will give you even more than just one. UFC 306 is right around the corner, so if you do want to unlock the safety parlay for UFC Vegas 97, you can do so today. You will get this event, UFC 306, the event after that. It's an entire month. WeWantPicks.com, click become a member. It's only $10 a month. One of the questions I get pretty often is, hey, today's the 20th. Is it still $10? Like, how does that work? It's an entire month. So if you sign up on September 1st, you will have full access until October 1st. If you sign up on September 15th, you'll have full access till October 15th. It's a full month from the date that you sign up. The next month, that date is when it'll expire. And finally, here is the address. If you do want to send something, we'll eat it, we'll open it, we'll read it, we'll interact with it. We'll do all the things on the Fight Foods vlogs. For every single pay-per-view, we film a vlog. Part of that vlog is Mail Day. We got an awesome package from Young LA. On the last vlog, we got a really nice letter from Dave Brune and a couple of UFC cards. If you want to send something, we will interact with it. We will share your story with the world. We'll showcase your product for your small business. All the things. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. Time to move on to the main card. We do have a 6-fight main card. And opening up that main card, we have Rongzhu taking on Chris Padilla. This is another, listen, I'm going dog here, spoiler alert. And listen, I'm not the dog guy. That's Jacob. Jacob is the one who's picking underdogs at like insane, literally might be the best at picking underdogs in this space. And on this card, I've got a couple of underdogs and not like, minus 104, like big underdogs. And Chris Padilla is another one. I'm picking him to win here, but let's go ahead and break it down. We got Rongzhu. This guy's a good striker. He'll pick his shots well. He's got solid power. When Zhu is marching forward, when he's dictating the pace, he can be a killer. But if he's being backed up and he's reacting, he ends up a step behind. He does have a negative striking differential, which is crazy because he also averages more than 2 takedowns per fight and a 63% takedown accuracy. So he's getting takedowns at a pretty high pace. He's getting multiple takedowns in fights, and he's still somehow getting punched in the face more than he's hitting his opponent. He's taking on Chris Padilla. Chris is a pretty well-rounded guy. He has had some mixed success in the local scene. He likes to come forward. He'll strike for a few seconds, not very often, and then immediately move to a clinch, work in a takedown. He's not like great at anything, and I'm not saying that insultingly. I'm saying there's not one thing where like, oh, he was a national champion wrestler, or like, oh, he was a Golden Glove boxer. He's good at all the things. He can strike. He can wrestle. He can grapple. He's a durable guy. He's very explosive. His takedowns are particularly explosive. He does struggle keeping people down. People will pop right back up on him, which is why you see almost 10 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's coming off that short notice win over James Yantop, which really shut some people up because when he got signed to the UFC on short notice, there was a lot of crybabies complaining. Because he was like 6-6 in 12 fights. And people were like, oh. And then bang, submitted the guy. All of a sudden, people shut up. And it's a weird spot because Rongzhu is on a 4-fight win streak, but it's regional fights. They're not UFC caliber fights. He does headhunt If he doesn't find power or takedowns, he can struggle. Chris is a well-rounded guy. He has multiple ways to win this fight, but he's not very dangerous. He does have experience. He is composed. His ability to snatch things up and scramble can absolutely be the difference here. I'm going out on a limb. I'm picking the dog. Chris Padilla 2 times in a row. He's going to be an underdog. And let's see if he can get a 2-win streak as that dog. I'm going Chris Padilla here. This is another one. I'm going to wait for the prop bets. He's such a big dog that there may be some really good value in those prop bets. That whole speech I gave you earlier about plus 3.5 or win inside the distance, decision, no action. Those both might be plus money. So we'll take a look at those. We'll see when they drop on Monday or Tuesday. Then we have, listen, I'm about to say some mean things here. We got one of the least skilled fighters in UFC taking on Yanal Ashmouz. We got Trevor Peek, and I'm about to shit all over his like skills, his actual skills, his technique. Like if Trevor Peek was doing a jiu-jitsu belt test, I'm positive he would grab somebody's arm like this and just like make an angry face and squeeze it. And the reason I know he'll do that is because he did it in his last fight. He did it in his last fight. He was in a fist fight at the highest state. Dude, this is the UFC. It is the pinnacle of the sport. The best fighters on planet Earth are fighting in the UFC. That's what the UFC is. It's the NFL of fist fighting. And at one point in this fight, Trevor Peek just grabs Charlie Campbell's arm and just literally just starts twisting it. Like he's trying to take a bolt off of a spare tire. He's just twisting it in random directions and squeezing it. It's insane. It's insane. He's not good, but he can fight his ass off. And those are 2 different things. Dricus du Plessis has been getting the same criticism. People are just clipping him just leaping forward, like wild technique. But he's the current middleweight champion of the world, so he's winning fights. And Trevor Peek's in a similar situation. He's not the champion of the world. He likely never will be, but the technique is not there. What is there, though, is a head built out of cement. He's got heavy hands, insane cardio, a good pace. He'll ragdoll you to the ground. He'll bomb away on the feet. He is not afraid of anything, but he's not good. If you can somehow keep a fight technical, you can beat him. Or if you could outpace him, which only very few people have been able to outpace him. Only Chepe did that. Charlie beat him with technique. He's taking on Yanal Ashmouz. Yanal Ashmouz is a pretty well-rounded guy. He does a really good job making adjustments in fights because he has the skills to say, let me use this set of skills now, and then I'll use this set of skills. Because there are skills, and he can go to those skills. But he is going to be in for it. He does come out striking first. He throws heavy. He'll work in a spinning attack or 2. He'll adjust to wrestling if he's not having the success striking that he expected to. He's got a solid chin on his side as well. Very solid base. He can be heavy on top if he gets those takedowns. Nothing amazing about him. Like Trevor Peek, what's amazing about him is his durability and his pace. That's amazing. Ashmouz, there's nothing amazing. Like he's not the most durable guy in the world. He's not the fastest. He's not the hardest hitting, but he's good everywhere. He has technique and skills everywhere. He does have some power in his hands. He does have good cardio. He can wrestle. He is coming off that loss to Chris Duncan where he hurt his arm, but showcased his toughness. Skill for skill, Yanal Ashmouz should be the minus 3,000 favorite on this card. If we were just picking fights based off of skill, actual skills and techniques, Yanal Ashmouz would be a minus 3,000 favorite. But that's not what fist fights are. Trevor Peek is like the epitome of, I just black out. And it works for him. He somehow makes it work. Because he is tough. He does have insane pressure. He will stay in your face. And even though the technique isn't there, it's enough to break you. There's enough forward pressure to break people, to make something happen. I am ultimately going to pick the better fighter. And today, in preparation for this video, I was like, I should put together a highlight reel of Trevor Peek just doing stupid shit. So I went back, I'm combing through the Charlie Campbell fight. I'm like, oh, I should do when he does this. And ultimately, I didn't do it because I just never know. Anytime I use a clip from a fight, YouTube hates it. So ultimately, I didn't do it. But what happened is, while I was watching the fights to find the trash moments, there was plenty of them. There was plenty of trash moments. I was like, God damn it, he is tough. Like, oh, Jesus. Like, oh, you're not going to break him. You can't break Trevor Peek. So you got to beat him the full 15 minutes because you're not going to break him. So I was like, oh, boy. And at this point, I already have a bet on Yanal Ashmouz. I bet him as a dog. He's still a dog. It's like, oh, my God. So I'm starting to have a little bit buyer's remorse on that bet. Ultimately, Yanal's he's just the better fighter. He just is. So let's hope he doesn't break. We saw the toughness in his last fight when he hurt his arm and it didn't stop him. So hopefully more of the same. I do have the bet on Yanal. Again, skill for skill, this isn't even close. It's not even close. And then we have Matt Schnell taking on Alessandro Costa. Costa is one of my most confident picks on this card. And it's not, I mean, he's not like amazing. He's not a world beater. He's alternating wins and losses in his last 5. But he's a solid striker. He's got pretty good takedown defense. He's got that high, tight guard. He can be nice and patient. He'll wait. He'll find his spots. And then when he throws, it is with 100% intent. He does a really nice job of small combinations, right? 1, 2, left hook. 1, 2, straight to the body, come up to the head. Like small combinations. Nothing crazy, nothing wild, but they're clean, they're tight, and he hits very, very hard. He'll leap in. He'll chase. He's got that real power. He has insane low kicks. The volume isn't amazing, but he's got plenty of finishes, including the one that he just got over Kevin Borjas. But it's not just his skills that have me on his side. It's his durability. It's his age. It's all the things. He's taking on Matt Schnell. And while Matt Schnell is only 34 in human years on his birth certificate, he has been in wars. Wars. Too many wars. And it's starting to wear on him because a man that was almost finished by Sumerderji rose from the dead. Like literally, was like, you saw his soul leaving his body, and then he got sucked back in, he shot back up, and then he ended up finishing Sumerderji and winning that fight. But you don't get to that point. You don't get to put on shows like that for us fans, and you don't get to build this reputation of being insanely tough and insanely durable without taking beatings along the way. And the beatings do seem to be catching up to Matt Schnell because he was just put out quick by a Genius Bar employee. The reality is Matt Schnell does have some skills. He's got solid BJJ. He prefers the counter strike, but a lot of times that just means get hit in the face and then throw something back. He does have the jiu-jitsu, but he doesn't go to it. He's averaging less than 1 takedown per fight. If you take him down, it's there. And if he does try to shoot a takedown, it's not going to be great because he only has a 44% takedown accuracy. The reality is Alessandro Costa should win here. He should dominate here. Matt Schnell is insanely tough, but it doesn't matter how tough you are if your chin literally can't stand up to it. Steve Erceg just smoked him. And Steve Erceg's a bit overrated. I think Alessandro Costa blasts Matt Schnell's legs. I think he cracks him in the head. I think he just wins this fight. Matt Schnell's not that dangerous. He's not dangerous enough to put out Costa, and Costa's 10 times more dangerous. He can put out Matt Schnell. Costa is going to be the pick. Unfortunately, at this point in his career, I don't think Matt Schnell can just tough out wins. And it's not, and it's honestly, it sucks because Matt Schnell is a fun guy to watch. He's exactly the type of guy that make fight nights entertaining, right? You sit down on a Saturday. It's not the greatest card in the world, but fights are fights. We're watching. If you're a casual, great. And that's not an insult. It's weird when people use that as an insult. If casual, okay, so you have time for like real life. If you're a casual fan, you just turn on some fights and it's a Matt Schnell fight, I am positive it'll be entertaining. And it sucks for somebody like Matt Schnell who has built a career being fun, putting on entertaining fights, bringing in fans, right? You sit down, you go to watch a fight night, even if you don't remember his name, you knew you had a good time watching that fight. But then, like anything else in this sport, you hit some dips, you hit some valleys, you hit a little bit of a losing skid, and that's it. Gone forever. Nobody cares. You're cut. People don't care about you anymore. Guy's on a 2-fight knockout losing streak. He loses here again. He's probably cut. And then Matt Schnell, the guy who has entertained people forever, put his chin on the line to be fun, to be exciting, to not be a jiu-jitsu nerd, even though he has jiu-jitsu nerd skills, has to find another career fight in the PFL. This is a wild sport, dude. The UFC is a wild sport, and it is impossible to be successful. Like, obviously it's not impossible, but you get my point. So we got to show appreciation for a lot of these mid-card fighters that put on show time after time. Matt Schnell is one of those guys. Unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to win this fight, but I appreciate all the excitement he's given us over the years, and I expect this fight to be fun as well. It's fun. I'm doing like a swan song for him. He's only 34. He could win this fight, but you get my point. I don't think he wins this fight. I think it will be his third knockout loss in a row, and then all of a sudden, no more UFC for Mr. Schnell. Then we have maybe the people's main event. The actual main event's pretty good, but this is a fight that a lot of people are talking about. And a lot of people are very confident, and I am not. I am not as confident in Steve Garcia as a lot of people are. But this is a very good fight. We have Kyle Nelson, who's been winning lately. Kyle Nelson, who people are like, he's not that good. And all of a sudden, he's putting together some very good wins, and he does look good. And he's taking on Steve Garcia, who is just quietly the most unassuming dude. You put a polo shirt on Steve Garcia, and he'll sell you a Nissan Altima. You won't even think about it. Does that look like, look at him. You would buy a Nissan Altima from this man in a polo shirt. And you'd be like, what a nice guy. That's Steve Garcia, just quietly selling Nissans and knocking people out. The dude is on an incredible streak right now. The reality is that Steve Garcia is 4-1 in his last 5, riding a 4-fight knockout win streak. And that's in spite of having very good grappling. Steve Garcia isn't just a power puncher, even though that's what he's been doing lately and making a name for himself. He's got good takedowns. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He can finish you on top. He can finish you fanding. I said fanding. I meant to say standing. He's not afraid to mix it up. He can get himself into some trouble, though, because he is way too aggressive, and he might be feeling himself right now. 4-fight knockout streak is crazy. Crazy. He's taking on Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson's a very good striker. All right, let me back up. Kyle Nelson is a good striker. He does have very real power in his hands. He's been in the UFC since 2018. He got his 3rd win, which isn't great for that long of a tenure. His overall UFC record is 3-4-1, but he is putting it together. This is a what have you done for me lately sport, not what have you done in the entirety of your career. Obviously that matters, but at this level, right now, it's what have you done recently? Have you evolved? And Kyle Nelson has. He's been looking really good lately. He's got solid takedown defense, does a really good job using his opponent's shots to create scrambles and to end up on top. He does a great job making fights ugly, winning with toughness. He's coming off that knockout upset win over Bill Algeo where he pressured forward. He came out swinging and he engaged. Ultimately, a lot of people thought that stoppage was early, but even if it was early, it didn't matter. Kyle Nelson was connecting and he was making it a bad night out for Bill Algeo. I do think Steve Garcia wins, but I'm not that confident. And the reality is, you realize if Steve Garcia wins this fight and he is on a 5-fight win streak, let's say a 5-fight knockout streak, that is the longest win streak of anybody in the top 5 at featherweight. And that doesn't include the champion because champions aren't ranked. They're champions. That is a longer win streak than anybody else in the top 5 at featherweight. How long can Steve Garcia win? How many people can he knock out? It's actually kind of crazy because up until this week, nobody was talking about it. He's just quietly doing his thing, making stuff happen. Nobody's talking about it. He shows up, puts somebody out, sells a Nissan. It's crazy. And he's not actually a car salesman. Somebody's going to ask me that in the comment. I'm just saying that because I'm telling you, put a polo shirt on this guy and he just looks like a regular, he looks like he lives in my neighborhood. I think he's going to win. I think he hits just too freaking hard. He's got too good a wrestling. He does get hit. And Kyle Nelson, if he's anything like his last fight, will bomb away. Steve Garcia is going to be the pick. Listen, the easiest safety parlay in the world would have Steve Garcia in it. I'm not doing it. There's just something about what Kyle Nelson is doing lately that has me a little nervous. So I'm going to pick Steve. If I do bet on him, it's going to be a very little amount of exposure. You do what you want to do with your money. Anytime I talk about bets, it's literally just what I'm doing with my money. And I just got a weird feeling about this one. Steve Garcia is going to be the pick, but I'm going to be not very exposed on this fight. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. And this is a very good co-main event. This is a sneaky good fight night card. Because we got Jessica Andrade, the perennial contender, the former world champion, taking on young up-and-comer Natalia Silva. Jessica Andrade, former world champion. She's been a contender at multiple weight classes. She bounces up and down. Moves between weight classes basically with no issue whatsoever. Style-wise, she hits hard. She's strong as shit. That's it. That's her style. She's a bully. She is a bully. She will big sister you. If she can push you around, she will. That's how she won the belt. She just literally picked up Rose Namajunas, banged her on her head, became the world champion. Insanely tough. But lately, she's been winning fights, not just with like bully style. She out-techniqued Mackenzie Dern in the striking. She just beat Marina Rodriguez. Very close win, but she looked good in that win. So all of a sudden, Jessica Andrade, who's basically only a bully, has won a couple of fights with some actual technique. And she's going to need every bit of her technique, every bit of her strength, because she's taking on a very promising prospect in Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva is very well-rounded. She's always fun to watch. She's a technical striker. She will occasionally wing some punches. But she'll work in some spinning attacks too. And then she'll commit to the wrestling. She's got solid upper body takedowns, good control if she ends up on top. Very powerful for this division. We've seen her not only knock people out, but knock them out late, like in the third round. So now we know that power is there throughout the entire fight. She's coming off that decision win over Vivian Araujo. Natalia Silva is very good. And we're going to find out how good she is, because this is an amazing fight to understand where she falls in this division. Her win streak is not only impressive because of how long it is, but she beat prospects. She beat Jasmine Jasudavicius, the savage, I don't give an F, Jasmine. She beat her. Like, pretty straightforward beat her too. She's beaten veterans. She's beaten grapplers. She's beaten strikers. Like, Natalia Silva all of a sudden is like, is this what the next generation of this weight class looks like? So far in the UFC, Natalia Silva has looked amazing. I have no reason to think she won't look amazing in this fight. She honestly is the better fighter here. And as long as she doesn't let Jessica just use that veteran savvy and let Jessica just push her around, Natalia Silva should win this fight. She is going to be the pick. And it's just that simple. And then we have the main event of the evening. Despite the odds, a lot of people are split on this fight. Sean Brady's a minus 184 favorite. He's basically a 2-1 favorite right now. And a lot of people are on Gilbert Burns. And listen, I'm going to tell you, a lot of those people are probably going to lose money. I think Sean Brady wins this fight. And I'll tell you why. Like, listen, I get it. I have a ton of respect for Gilbert Burns. He's one of these guys that is always in a fight. He's not getting sparked, right? He's always in a fight. And yes, you're going to see he was just finished by Jack Della Maddalena, but he was beating Jack. He was very close to winning that fight, and then he ate a ridiculous knee in the third round and got finished. Gilbert Burns is a lightweight that moved up to welterweight, dropped Kamaru Usman in a title fight. Gilbert Burns is the guy that started his career with a couple submissions, and he's a black belt, as many people are in this sport, and the whole narrative was, this guy's a nasty grappler, his jiu-jitsu's so good. He's a guy that gave Khamzat Chimaev everything he could handle, but let me back into all of those. First of all, Gilbert Burns is small. I know this says 5'10". I'm telling you, he's a lot smaller than Sean Brady. You'll see that at the weigh-ins. You'll see it at the face-off. He's a guy that's not submitting people off of his back. He doesn't have that kind of jiu-jitsu. He's not just throwing up wild scrambles, making stuff happen. He's not Jaqueline Amorim. So I don't think he's going to submit Sean Brady. And he gave Khamzat everything he could handle. I think at this point we're realizing Khamzat might not be the guy that we all thought he was. He's taking on Sean Brady. And like, Sean Brady is a guy that was outstruck and finished by Bilal Muhammad standing, which is very embarrassing. Like, very embarrassing. But Bilal Muhammad went on to be the UFC welterweight champion. He's just continuing to win fights, continuing to move forward. So that's aging pretty well. Sean Brady is a guy who's going to plot forward. He'll throw bombs. He'll work in a spinning back fist, which he shouldn't do, but he will. Then he'll shoot some very real takedowns. And on the ground, he is very, very good at jiu-jitsu. Certainly good enough to not get submitted here. He's coming off that one-sided win over Kelvin Gastelum, where he had 5 takedowns and the eventual submission. And if I didn't just see Sean Brady smoke Kelvin Gastelum, I might be a little more wishy-washy here, a little more nervous, as I tend to get. But I think Sean Brady, I think is a pretty straightforward fight. I genuinely do. A lot of people loving Gilbert Burns here. And you know what? I love Gilbert Burns too. I just don't think how does he win this fight? Is he that much of a better striker? I don't think so. His takedown defense is only 50%. So the idea that he's going to defend all these takedowns seems a little crazy to me. The idea that he's going to get his own takedowns when he only gets takedowns at 38%, a little crazy to me. The idea that if he gets taken down, he's going to submit Sean Brady. Why is he going to submit? Sean Brady's a nasty black belt. Nasty. And the new generation of black belt. Not a 40-year-old black belt. The new generation. I do think, though, if Gilbert gets the takedowns, that's a big problem for Sean. Not because he's going to get submitted, but just he's going to get controlled. Gilbert is that jiu-jitsu. Top-heavy, great pressure, amazing basics. Keep you where you are jiu-jitsu. Whoever shoots first is probably going to have some success. I'm trusting Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady gets it done. I wish he was a little more affordable, right? It's his first 5-round fight, first main event. There's a lot of firsts here for Sean Brady, but I do think he gets it done. And, you know, Gilbert Burns is going to be on quite the skid, a 3-fight skid after that happens. But Sean Brady is going to be the pick. I know that's also against a lot of people, even though that's the second fight on this card where I'm picking a decent favorite and the rest of the community is on the other side. So it feels like I'm going against the grain, even though the dude's a 2-1 favorite. Sean Brady is the pick, and that is the breakdown. Guys, become a premium member. It's $10 a freaking month. Not only is it the most amazing way to support us, but you're going to get something for it. You'll get the safety parlay. Single greatest bet you can get in this space. You're going to get the data analyzer, the single greatest research tool you could ever unlock, you could ever need heading into a fight week. You're going to have all the data you ever want. You can stack filters. You can drill down into history. You can then click a button and watch the actual fights, do some tape study of your own. You're going to get the Prop Hunter, that curated set of data that's designed to help you find prop bets. That is available to you. You're going to get the line movement tracker, the opening odds, current odds, win probability, line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the DraftKings Optimizer preloaded with DraftKings projections. And you're going to get Dana White Contender Series picks, bets, and breakdowns. PFL picks, bets, and breakdowns. Bellator picks, bets, and breakdowns. Everything you could ever want or need. An artificial intelligence. A betting system designed around the artificial intelligence. Literally anything. Everything you could think of is available right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 an entire month. And if you sign up right now, that will include UFC 306, Noche UFC, the Sphere card. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Guys, I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for everything. The amount of views we're getting, the amount of interactions we're getting, the positivity, it's all been nuts. We appreciate you. Good luck this week. We're going to be back to our almost normal schedule. Jacob will be live streaming Dana White's Contender Series. We'll do our normal show. I don't know if Jacob's going to do a fight companion on Saturday, but either way, fights are back. So are we. Good luck this week.